conversation when you go to a conversation with a room full of white folks, like how do you go start those conversations?
I tell them, hey, white people, and they look real crazy. And then I acknowledge that I know you're used to being called Americans.
Exactly.
But if I got to be black, you got to be white. So you don't,
Right.
you don't get to racialize me, and you don't get racialized back.
Bingo. White's a color. People of color, white's a color.
Right. So that's an immediate like they're immediately shaken in that first 2 seconds because again, saying hey white people, they number one they think is rude. But why when you talk about black people, it's not rude to say it's a group of black people or black, right? But if I call you a white person now, all of a sudden you have like I slap you in your mouth. Why? And so we have to talk about, what being racialized means. Like if I get it, you're used to just being an American, right? But I'm gonna call you a white American. Like if I gotta be African American or Afro American, you got it right. And so it starts with something as simple as that identity. How do you identify? And so they get that because they immediately feel that sting of being called white. But why is it a sting? Why? Because you've been protected from being called white. Because you know that calling someone out by their race hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it hurts you, but it's okay to call me black, right? That's cool. So we start the conversations like that. We also talk about what is their understanding of whiteness. So I think it's really important for me as a facilitator to listen. I can't assume that we all have the same understanding. So before we start defining things, I try to figure out where everyone is. Because again, it's very important for me to meet people where they are, not where I want them to be. And so understanding what their idea of whiteness is, how do they see themselves as being privileged? That has been difficult for a lot of poor white people that weren't privileged.
I'm not privileged. I grew up poor too. I've heard that a million.
Remind them that you're poor because your people were lazy, not because they were being discriminated against. Okay.
Hello.
But if there are poor white people amongst us, that's because they were not. What was your people doing when everybody else was raping and pillaging and stealing and owning people? What was your people doing? Laying up under the tree, drinking and eating tobacco, like smoking tobacco. What were they doing? Because they could have been getting to the generational wealth. And so I don't feel sorry for poor white people either because you've had generations to get ahead and to be ahead. And if you're not, that's on you. That's your own DNA. That's your own legacy of slovenliness or whatever, right?
Right.
I don't like that. Like, look at Rob looking at me like, Kristie, for real? Yeah, because we have to be able to tell the truth about the situation.